Amp Media Production presents Gypsy Soul, your one-stop shop for letting out your inner gypsy. Join Denise Marsh as she brings on a variety of guests to share their artistic vision with the world.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Gypsy Soul. I'm your host Denise Marsh. I'm always happy to be with you. So happy early holidays everyone, whatever you celebrate, whether it's Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, any holiday that gives you light and love, I welcome it to you. But you know, even though a lot of us love the food, the music, and the joy of gathering with the family, some of us don't have those fun things. Some of us don't have that enjoyment because the holidays are a time of grief for us, a time of triggers, a time of sad memories. So not everyone is in that boat of euphoria and happiness. So we have to understand that when we say happy holidays to people, not everyone will be as receptive as other people. Some people actually have a feeling of doom when the winter holidays come upon us and they can't wait for them to be over. But we're all together in this. And when I say that, I mean we can actually understand that those people need help from us. Those people need us to help them find their inner gypsy and help them find some light when there isn't any light. So some of us are in a state of relearning. Some of us are trying to get our spark back. And some of us are just trying to put our best foot forward. So I think I'm trying to do that more and more because sometimes the holidays are sad for me. I miss my mother. My mother isn't alive anymore, and it's been about 18 years now. My son will be 18, and you know the holidays come around and I get really happy, and then there's that like little part of me that's like, wait a minute, this is so sad. I don't have this, I don't have that. And then I try to remember the things I do have to make myself feel better. But I can relate to those people that are like, I don't have this, I don't have that. I can relate to them a lot. So I wrote a poem in my book that's out right now on Amazon and Kobo, A Connecting Flight, Poems About the Detours of Life. And it's called Return of the Spark. And Return of the Spark fits really well with this stream of consciousness. So I'd like to share it with you. And let me know if it resonated with you. Return of the Spark. She found the spark, not a spotlight or a flashlight. She found the spark in the dead of darkness. She found the spark to continue a journey that was not unfamiliar. She found the spark, cherished it, and guarded it until the world could see her light. And I hope this spoke to you, or I hope it resonated with someone else in your life. If you really like the poem, and I think you will, and I think you'll like the book, go ahead and order it on Amazon. Order it as a gift for someone that you love, or a gift for yourself. And if you order it, don't forget to do a review, because a review is a gift for an author. It fuels books. So, while we're on the subject of fueling things, I want to talk to you about the amazing guests that I have today. Okay, so I was told about this guest by a really wonderful friend named Shyla James, who actually has a whole business called Love Nuts, and she was on my show before on the 4th of July. And she has the most beautiful British accent. You can listen to her for hours. It was a great show. And she recommended this amazing guest to me. And she said, you need to have this guest on your show. Denise, you need to have her on your show. And let me tell you why. And she proceeded to tell me why. And I got in touch with my guest. And she couldn't have been more right about this woman being amazing. So today's guest, Germaine Z English, is the CEO of Discernment Ministries. She's also an author of a book entitled Stop Praying for a Good Man, My Discernment Journey. And she has a lot of very wise words for us. And she's also involved with a lot of issues that are empowering for women. We're going to go to a short commercial break, and when we come back, I can't wait for you to meet her. So hang tight and don't go anywhere.
Hey there, have you heard of the new show Gypsy Soul? It's hosted by the one and only Denise Marsh. Listen in as she helps you release your inner gypsy with the best in South Florida, with plenty of special guests, with their own talents to inspire your inner gypsy. Tune in every other Thursday on your preferred streaming platform.
AMP Media Futures Foundation is a non-for-profit organization dedicated to providing college students with immersive opportunities in media production, marketing, business skills, and communication.
Interns will learn professional workflow skills in editing, video and radio broadcasting, public relations, digital media, graphic curriculum, and access to equipment to make a positive impact.
AMP Media Productions is a full-service production house with a variety of shows ranging from the Brooklyn Cafe show.
Welcome to the Brooklyn Cafe on a very busy Wednesday.
Sarah
Open your
Spiritual.
heart. Right here on the Oldies Station, you're listening to Spiritually Speaking with Sarah.
Call me Zena.
Teach by example, and that's what I try to do all the time, to teach by example.
Artist Law.
Using that term more. Yeah, lofties, yeah.
And Gypsy Soul.
They love music. It's like their favorite thing to go to.
I teach like preschool up to 12th grade.
Yeah, nice.
You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at AMP Media Productions. Please like and subscribe to all of our shows.
I want to be in first class. Champagne, please.
Dying comfort.
That's good. We offer opportunities to excel in the field of TV film production, social media management, video editing, set design, graphic design, sound engineering, journalism, and many more useful tools to help you land a career in the media business.
To volunteer or be a part of our team, or to make a donation of any size, please visit us at ampfutures.org. Help us to empower college students to create a positive impact with immersive hands-on experiences in media production. Help us amplify the future.
And we're back to Gypsy Soul, and I'm your host, Denise Marsh, and I have the lovely Germaine Z English here with us. You're quite the powerhouse, Germaine.
Thank you.
So I'm so happy to be meeting you in person. We spoke on the phone. I have your book with me, and we have your books on the table right here. And your book is called, and I want to hold it up, Stop Praying for a Good Man, My Discernment Journey. And it's beautiful cover, really, really beautiful cover. And so can you tell the audience the premise of this book, why you wrote this book, what it's about?
Absolutely. So I have been ministering to women for probably 30 years easily. And what I discovered is that all the women I would talk to all had the same request. God, please send me a good man. And I thought, okay, wow, great. And then I myself found myself asking God that same question, please send me a good man. And then I realized he had sent me a good man, but he wasn't my man.
Right.
He belonged to somebody else because he wasn't good for me. Yeah. And so I read this book that just completely blew my mind, written by Timothy Laham, called Similar Hearts. And on page 3 of his book, he asked a question that I had never pondered. Can you imagine the first conversation between Adam and Eve? And I thought, what does that look like? You know, you're in the garden, and so I was like, wow. So I started writing this little funny kind of what I thought was a short story between the first conversation between Adam and Eve, you know, that uncomfortable, hi, how are you? You're kind of cute. Are you staying kind of conversation? And
get away from the apple.
That part, stay away from that tree. But as I continued to write and write, I realized this wasn't a short story. This was more than a short story. And so it evolved. And I came up with the title, Stop Praying for a Good Man. And then my mentor added my discernment journey when she edited it. She was the first person to read it.
And I think discernment is perfect because discernment is about like judging and putting your value into things. It's a very powerful title. But one of my favorite parts, Germaine, about the story is, and I have read it, I've read half of it, but what I have read, I've read in depth. I like the fact that it's like a workbook. It's an interactive book. It's like, that's what as a teacher, we say interactive for everything. But it is because you work with it and you kind of, the book asks you questions and you fill it out and you learn more about yourself. And one of the things that you get to learn about is great for me on my dating journey, even though it's not really a journey right now. It's going absolutely nowhere.
It's
but
still a journey.
It's still a journey. So in your book, you talk about 3 categories for finding a man: our preference list, our purpose list, and our plan list. And I even wrote it, being part of an alternate universe, which is the life of single dating, especially online right now. It's telling me how I can better understand what exactly I'm looking for and what my priorities are and what I think my priorities are, but they're not really my priorities. So you hone in on the list that, that makes the most sense to you, and you see, wait a minute, this isn't really what I need. Yeah, I want all these things. I want a man that's tall, and I want a man, that has blue eyes. But wait, but I also want a man that shares the same passions as me, and I want a man that we can go places together, and a man that gives me space. So you start getting out of the first category and into the second or third. So
I love the fact that you mentioned tall, because tall was on my preference list.
I saw
twice.
it. Tall. I got it.
I want a tall man.
I said, you go, Germaine, when I saw it. So how is this book cathartic for you? How has writing this book helped you out in your journey?
Well, first things first, I wrote this book completely out of order than the way it appears. So when I got a copy of it, I had to sit down and read my own book.
It's so interesting.
And so as I'm reading it and I'm laughing out loud, it occurs to me I'm laughing at myself. And
At the way you wrote it?
At the way I wrote it, at the things I said. And I realized that this journey was really about coming to an understanding of what it is I want and my purpose here on the planet. What is it I'm supposed to be doing while I'm here? And
besides dating.
Besides dating. Because it's more than just dating. And if you're not careful, dating will consume your entire world. And then you don't have space for anything else.
And that's what they've done to us, too.
That's what they've done to us, and that's what we've done to ourselves. There are so many women who read this book and they sit down and they say, Germaine, I want to talk to you about chapter 4. I want to talk to you about chapter 6.
Oh, it's so good. Don't tell me anymore because I'm halfway through it. Where can people get this book?
So there are 2 places. Oh, actually, there are multiple places where you can get it. You can get it from Amazon. You can get it from Barnes & Noble. But you can also get it from me directly. I started my own company because I realized I wasn't making the kind of money I wanted to make with some of these big box dealers. So you can buy it directly from me, and when you buy it from me, you get an autographed copy. And I do that for every single copy that I send out, and that is at EnglishBookworks.com.
English, just like
English, like the language,
okay.
Yes.
That's easy enough to remember.
Well, I hope so, because that's the language we speak.
Yeah. Well, less and less of us, but yeah.
You'd be amazed how many people ask me to spell it. So.
But you have to remember that it's Germaine Z English, because we had this story about that there are other Germaine Englishes, just like there are other Denise Marshes. I told you the story why I put the middle name in my book. So we have so many similarities. So although I'm still reading your book, this particular book has been a catalyst for something else that you're working on called Discernment, your Discernment Journey Ministry. So can you share more about the mission with us and what that entails?
Absolutely. So once I realized that dating and finding a man was not my purpose on the planet, I started asking, what is my purpose on the planet? And that's when I discovered it's something that I've actually been involved with for years. Discernment Journey Ministries, which in part came from the name of this book, is a non-for-profit that services women who are survivors of domestic violence and human and sex trafficking. And a lot of people ask me, how can you do this work? It's so difficult. It's so emotional.
Deep, it's deep.
And my response is I don't have to do this work. I get to do this work. I get to make an impact in these women's lives because we want to do something that's never been done before. We want to change the face of domestic violence. We want to change the understanding of what these women go through. And we want to provide them with a safe space that's easy access. So I don't know how much you know about domestic violence, but I'm going to just educate you really quick here.
I know a lot about it.
Well, allow me to educate your
audience.
Go
ahead, yeah.
So domestic violence shelters are typically small buildings. They're normally 50 to 75 beds. You don't ever talk about it in rooms. You talk about in how many beds you have. And so typically a bed is, one person sleeping in it. And if you have a family-friendly shelter, that means you take in the woman and all her children. That's a lot of beds being used. We at Discernment Journey Ministries want to do something different. We are actually looking at purchasing a hotel and converting it into a shelter, which means we'll have 300 plus beds. So we're going to be probably the largest shelter in the state of Florida. We're really excited about that. But it also gave me an opportunity to tell my own story. So the book, once you read it, and my friend said this to me, she said, oh my gosh, it's almost like you're naked because you're so exposed in this book.
Vulnerable.
You're so vulnerable. And I said, I'm not naked. I'm in a string bikini with no cover. But what it did was it helped me understand that in telling my story, I get to help others.
Yes.
And so I tell people when I started doing this, and I tell people going forward, I am a survivor of domestic violence. I lived through that. So when I sit across from a woman and I say to her, I really understand what you're going through, and she says, no, you don't. I start telling her my story, and she says, oh my gosh, you do. You really do.
I think it takes that, doesn't it? It takes you to have been through it to understand someone else's pain, to empathize.
It really does.
Yeah.
And in our country, in the United States, 1 in 3 women is a survivor of domestic violence or human trafficking. So if we brought 4 more women in here, I'm not the only one. There's going to be 2 of us in this
It's
group.
just hidden.
It's
Right,
just
it's
hidden.
And emotional abuse has become more prevalent as well, not just the
Emotional,
actual, physical
financial.
abuse, because that can be worse sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
Because people are more afraid to talk about that. You don't see scars, they're thinking, was that really abuse? Was that not abuse? That could be even worse than physical abuse, right? Do you take people in your shelter for emotional abuse as well?
We're going to take people who fall under any definition of domestic violence. So people often ask me, they're like, oh my gosh, Germaine, how did you become a victim of domestic violence? Well, I stop them and I say, I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor. And I promise you, my ex did not hit me on the first date. If he had, there would never have been a second date.
Right.
He was kind, he was sweet, he was charming, he was tall.
Right now, they don't all
smelled
follow
good.
the same recipe.
They don't.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, year 6 or 7 that things started to get physical.
Yeah.
So I tell people it's never, out the gate, immediate abuse. It's about power and control, because that is what domestic violence is about, power and control. First, he separated me from my family, didn't want me to go visit, didn't want me to go see them. Then he started separating me from my friends.
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle. It's a constant cycle. And when it came down to it, there was, physical violence, and I had to go and save myself.
I remember in college, there was a hotline. I don't remember the name of it, but I remember it was an anonymous hotline for, women of domestic violence that you could talk to people. And I remember in the script, it talked about the cycle. And it said that sometimes women become so comfortable with the cycle that they go back to the abuser. They don't want to. They don't want to be the victim again. But it's more comfortable to do that than to go through, a whole scenario with they're leaving them and then they have to be out on their own. And it's too scary. So we go with what we're comfortable with.
And, the fact that I tell people I left 4 times before I left for good. And it wasn't until the 4th time that I left for good. So when we started Discernment Journey Ministry, we thought, okay, we're going to do a shelter. That's great. But what else are we going to do to help service these women? So the shelter, we have 2 programs. The shelter is called Bev's House, A Place to Call Home. And it's actually named after my mother. I remember that when I left for the last time, I went to go visit my mother, who was living in South Carolina, and I suffer from insomnia when I'm in stress. And I had been up all night, and around 3 o'clock in the morning, she got up to go get water and discovered me on the couch watching TV in the dark. And she came over and she sat down next to me and she said, here, put your head in my lap. And I did, and she didn't say a word. She just held me and stroked my back. And I felt so much better. I felt home, and that's why we call it Bev's House, A Place to Call Home.
I love that.
So that's the shelter piece. But then it occurred to me when doing years and years of domestic violence work that some women don't leave because they don't know how to. They don't know how to open a bank account. They don't know how to buy a car. They don't know how to get an apartment or a job. So the second part of our program is called Brenda's School, a women's resource. And what Brenda's School will be doing is providing life skills for these women so that they can thrive and survive and not feel like they have to return.
Is this free for these women?
Yes, it will be free
All of
for
the
these
so
all
the
of these
shelter
services.
as well as the services. That's
Yes.
that's amazing. It's like you're giving them a second chance.
That's-
it's a gift. It's helping them find their spark.
Well,
it's like the poem.
and
yeah.
that's why I loved your poem. Our motto is bringing light into the darkness. So when you said that in your poem, I
it's
thought
meant to be.
this was meant to be.
What
But
challenges are you facing now with the hotel? Because you said that you have a hotel ready for these women, right? Or are you getting a hotel ready?
we're trying to get a hotel ready. So
Yeah.
we're still a very young nonprofit.
Yeah.
We were established in 2021, but then the book came out and I was doing all kinds of stuff with the book. So we are now really focused on what we want to do. So I've put together this group of amazing women volunteers who are working like crazy, but they can only volunteer for so long. But construction project managers and general contractors kind of want to get paid. I get that. So we are in the process of fundraising, and our fundraising right now is really about operations. Because once we get our operations in and we can get a grant writer on board and start writing for grants, we're going after this hotel.
So how can people help? Not to interrupt, but how can people in the public, can they donate?
Absolutely.
Can they give ideas? What can people do? Because this is an amazing cause. This is, well worth it. This is great, especially during the holidays when abuse can be even worse.
Well, and I will tell you, we'll take everything. I've had people want to donate clothes, and trust me, my closet is filled with boxes of clothes. We love financial contributions because we're building our operation fund. And I have people who contact me and say, I want to network with you.
Yeah.
This is what I do. I run this program, and your program and our program should walk hand in hand. How can we collaborate? And we want that because we want to build a truly sustainable program that hopefully we can even do outside of Florida. Our goal is to do this kind of across the nation, that everywhere there's a Bev's house, there'll be a Brenda school.
And when you said that, it made me think of something you and I had spoken on the phone about putting a place like this in a high traffic area. And I'd said to you, but shouldn't it be hidden, so these women would be away from their abusers? And you said, no, quite the opposite. You said that you wanted it to be in a high traffic area. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So most shelters, and actually here in the state of Florida, it's a felony to give out the address of a shelter. It's a safe haven. You
Right.
can't do it.
Right.
And we get that. We understand that. We want women to be safe as well. But if you're so hidden away and you're so rural that I can't walk in and be safe instead of going to the grocery store, we're not servicing everybody. And that's why we want a hotel. And the hotel idea actually came to me in a really interesting way. Earlier this year in May, I went on a business trip to a leadership conference in Dallas. And I picked this hotel because it had a lot of art in it. It was kind of artsy, and I thought this is going to be cool. Come to discover, it is a landmark hotel. It is the hotel that Tina Turner ran into when she left Ike.
She was meant to be.
And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. Maybe it's supposed to be a hotel. Yeah. And that's when, God reminded me that when I did leave my ex, I called my best friend and she said, go to this hotel.
See, there's no coincidence.
You'll be safe. It'll be okay. Go there. And I thought, a hotel?
Yeah.
Hotels are in high traffic areas.
Yeah.
How do we make it safe? Well, my chief security officer, or the woman I hope to be my chief security officer, is a 39-year cop. She's been a police chief. She knows what she's doing, and she's like, I can secure this building. I can make sure these women are safe and secure. Her very first call that she ever had as a police officer was a domestic violence call.
See, you have a whole team waiting.
I have a whole
to
team
help.
waiting.
You have the security, you have the women, you have the rooms, you have the beds.
I have the beds. I have construction project manager. I have a general contractor. I have a trauma person. I have a case manager.
So let's pretend I want to help you. I'm
Okay.
someone calling. What do? I call you up. I go on your website. I don't want to run out of time, but I want to get this out there. Like,
go on our website to www.discernmentjourney.org and call me, or you can just call me. Area code 314-603-1749. Or you can email me, germaine.english@discernmentjourney.org, or find me on LinkedIn or Facebook.
And do you have a
Instagram.
timeline for when you think this is going to come up?
We want it sooner than later.
Yeah.
We have found a hotel. So we're
So
really
exciting.
excited about it, and it is a 150 room hotel, which is why we think we'll be able to do more than 300 beds. It's a 6-story hotel. It's a conference hotel, currently in use, so it's not dilapidated. It's currently up to code. So really all we need now is the operation fund, so we can get our grant writer. We can start writing for some federal grants, get that paid for, and we're going to be off to the races.
You're literally giving people a second chance of life. All these women.
I got one.
mean, and you're giving back. I mean, you can't give back more than that. It's so beautiful. I'm going to start crying on the air. It's such a beautiful cause, especially for the holidays, and it's returning, people sparking themselves, especially these women that have been abused. And, they're going to feel more self-confident. They'll have a place to be, and then they'll get another chance. And they'll give back, too. They'll probably pay it forward. I could probably talk to you all day. I'm just so grateful and thankful that Shyla introduced us.
She's amazing.
And she is. And so I was going to say, so her nuts. That sounds really bad. I was going to put some comic relief in there, but she's got the love nuts going, which was such a great show. But I hope you'll come back for a future
Absolutely.
show and you'll tell us, what's going on, and maybe, there'll be a success story with some of the women. I look forward to hearing about this and following this journey and your journey.
And I know we're about to run out of time, so there's something I want to say really quick.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yes.
that. Between October and the Super Bowl is the most dangerous time of the year
read that.
for domestic violence.
I read that.
And
Yes.
we don't exactly know why that is. Maybe it's the holiday stress, but domestic violence upticks this time of year like you wouldn't believe. So if you are out there and you need help, call 911, go to your local facilities, reach out to someone, give me a call. I'll do what I can to help you, because we don't have a shelter right now, but do something to help yourself, because this is a dangerous time of the year for women. In addition to that, if you are someone who's close to someone who's in danger, help her, but make sure you also stay safe. So I always tell people, safety first. A lot of people are often murdered when it comes to domestic violence. So you want to make sure that everyone is safe and everyone is doing what they can. Second part, power and control. You have to give the woman back her power. If she says she wants to leave today, but tomorrow she goes back, you have to be okay with it.
Germaine, thank you for bringing love and beauty and strength and faith back into the holidays.
Thank you for having
I am
me.
going to definitely have Germaine back on another show because she's amazing. But I wanted to thank everyone for giving me some of your time and watching Gypsy Soul. And just wanted to let you know that you guys have been my gifts. You've been my gift for the holidays. You've been my gift on alternate Thursdays. And I'm just so happy and so in love with all of you. I don't know how else to say it. I wish you the happiest of holidays. If you need help, please reach out and get help. Remember, not everyone is in love with the holidays, and that's okay. Keep looking for your inner gypsy. Help other people. Tell people that it's okay to feel the way that they feel. And don't stop looking for your love and light. And I will actually see you in a brand new year. I will see you on January 2nd, and 2025 is going to be great. As long as you guys stick with me, help me get more followers, keep sharing the show, and I love you, and I love you for helping me develop my Gypsy Soul. Bye, everyone. Happy holidays. Love you.
Thank you for tuning in to Gypsy Soul. Make sure to stop by next time for another enlightening show. A show that was produced by Amp Media Productions and hosted by Denise Marsh.